everyone. Welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I am Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu in the Talk of the Town segment, and we're also hosting together because we allowed Otto to go south for a little trip. And we also, of course, have Dan Cox, who is the man behind it all and keeps us going in this radio show. So we're very grateful always to Dan. And Talk of the Town now. So that was a great segment with Ron. As always, he's just got the best information, and you have to listen to every word, and then he's like, well, this is changing here, like the updates just they come, and there's usually a timing, so at least it's not, hey, this is the update in effect now. It sounds like they at least give some time before.
Yeah, but what is important is because like I said, it's constantly changing. I mean, these memos that he sends over, like one year, and it's funny because every time I feel like we have him on the show, it's always timed with some kind of, major change happening, which is just interesting how that, works out. But I think that it's just so important what, when I was doing research for these segments is, there's people who try and kind of plan on their own, do their little at home, planning for things, but it's very complicated. And I think that it's important what the message is, whether it's Ron or another elder law attorney that you trust, there's a lot of wonderful ones in our community, to really discuss these things. And, because it is so complicated and there are different things that you're able to do, and get it done the right way. You don't want to be, when he was mentioning about these people that were, attesting and putting, might not necessarily be the correct amount, like that is going to be a major issue.
It's scary. I mean,
it's terrifying. Like you can change your whole life, so it's so important to get things done and to really talk to someone and work through the best option for your situation.
Right. I mean, if with Ron, he stays on top of everything. So, maybe it's a little more expensive for someone like Ron, but what you're getting is, decades of experience, someone who, like he said, I said, how do you keep up on all of the changes? Like every day, I get them every day. And, you're getting the best kind of, support, guidance. I mean, that attestation stuff is very scary, especially if someone's in a nursing home and they're signing something, or they don't really understand the whole process, because there's some pretty scary penalties.
Of course, and that's, I think, something that, with many different areas of things, during COVID, there was a lot of, changes and things might have not been as strict in certain, areas. And I think it's especially in this where it does face such detrimental consequences, you really have to make sure, you get ahead of this, and, I mean, that'll be here before you know it, these things. So it's so important to really, and I love having Ron on, who knows so much about this very complicated topic. And hopefully this educates our listeners to, start thinking about these things. And if you're in that situation or you don't have a plan, in place, it's just it's really something important to do. So
right. I know what you were saying before, like when you were talking about your grandfather, it's like, how do you encourage someone to do it? It's one thing for someone to make that self-realization,
of
like,
course.
hey,
right, that's great. Right, that's wonderful.
But to say, you really should do it, that's almost like voodoo to say, because it's like, well, what do you want, my stuff? It's like, no, you got to take care of it.
And listen, it was, my grandfather's era was an era, through the Depression as a child, so there was a different sense, we laugh about my grandpa, now than since he's, passed away, because he was so, we'll say frugal for a nice word, with things. But, like we would always say, like, grandpa, like you can get this, like you're at this part of your life, have these comforts, but it was very hard for him to ever wrap his head around, doing these things. We would laugh. My grandpa was like the king of going to like an expensive store, but getting the couch that had like a rip in it, so it had like it would be like a cheaper price, or it was some like bizarre color, and he would say like, oh, this color just pops, so that was my grandpa's, MO was like always to get like a deal, and he worked very hard, he grew up poor, and he made a life for himself. So, and I understood all that, and luckily, he had my mom and I to talk this for him, so he wasn't as antagonistic as if someone else approached him. But it was tough, he was really like, he couldn't part with, the idea of his money going to someone else that didn't work for that money, so it was tough, and I think a lot of people go through that, and like you're saying, like it's great if they're saying, okay, I want to go meet with an elder law, if they were like my mom, who was like, I'm going to go, I just want to get this all situated, right, for you and your brother. And, but then, you have the other extreme of my grandpa, and it was like, we gotta like, it was like pulling teeth. It was rough. So, I think it's not a bad idea to talk it out with a third party kind of person, and I love what you said, because you almost do need, even with, giving up the keys, when we had mentioned that, like in a similar kind of thing, sometimes you need that third party person in it that can kind of talk it out. And that's why it's important to contact a lawyer and just work through, you don't necessarily have to do it, but just kind of know what, is needed to make this plan.
Right. I think like that defensive driving course, they should also have like a huge section on, self-checking, or
Absolutely.
just even just for people, is it time?
Yeah.
And it does stink, because as we get older, your reflexes just aren't as fast. And for most of us, our vision does start to go a little bit. And, even kind of turning the head or things like that.
So true.
It's like, you start out kind of saying, okay, I'm not going to drive at night anymore. And, make sure, you do that. And then I think as you kind of maybe just drive during non-peak hours, those kinds of things, to make those adjustments.
Yeah.
And, it's all for living a longer life, for living a longer life, if that, you have to give that up, start prepping, if you live in North Hempstead, certainly you can use our transportation service.
And that's what I was thinking, Beck. And when Ron had even mentioned that about one of his clients who refused to give up the keys, and had a horrible,
look what happened
thing, and that is something, because that's another thing we had dealt with my grandpa for a long time. My grandpa had stenosis, so he couldn't turn his head. So like his neck would be, so it was like, you can't. And we were like, absolutely, like if you can't turn your neck, you can't be driving, you're missing all the, but that was like a thing too, and I think I understand, we're not out here saying it's an easy decision to make by any means. It is very difficult, because yes, we're lucky in a North Hempstead situation. There's, medical transportation and food shopping, but it's still hard to give up that freedom. If I need to run to CVS, I can go run out to my car and hop in and do it. You're not bound to relying on anyone, so there's a lot that comes into, doing that. But I think you have to weigh it, and the fact that there could be this horrible thing that happens because you wouldn't just give up the keys, and you could put yourself in danger and other people. So it's really something that, I think is important. And you mentioned it, listen, you can call 311, right? Get connected to Shari, and she could, she's got a great presentation for that too, and it's just something that, but I think that's a great point, Beck, that really should be in a defensive driving piece, because that
it might even, it's been a while, I'm due for
I
one soon.
Actually, I took mine not that long ago. I don't remember, like, it just seemed very just, like young person focused, really.
Right. There's that whole other end. And that's, when I ever hear things like that, it's so young focused, yet our population is the oldest it's ever been. Like, we have to start, marketing. Not, and I don't mean it in like selling goods. I mean, just getting the population. The reality is people living longer, people are hitting 65.
To look at it a different way, because I think that is important, but we're in a different time where, you might have planned for, living to whatever age. And now it's like, which is great, a whole different set, and I see the surveys that come in for Project Independence. I mean, there is a huge proportion of people that are filling out surveys that are in their late 80s, early 90s now, and that's just a commonplace. So it's definitely something I think is important to look at, and that's why programs like a Project Independence are so important, and the connections we have in the community where we can, the Rons that we have that we can call and say, hey, we have a question, it's just these wonderful resources that we are able to, have and educate, is really all we can do. You can't force anyone to do anything, but we can certainly educate you. So it was great. So
good stuff.
Kudos to Ron. Next week we are off, so we will have a repeat show, but we will be back February 17th, and we will have on a cardiologist from Northwell Health, because February is Heart Health Month.
That's right.
Which is certainly important. And then on February 24th, we're going to have Supervisor DeSena will be joining us to give a little recap about this town and the state of the town.
Right.
And then we are scheduled for March 2, Beck. We have March 3rd. We have on an organization called Literacy Nassau. We had them on many years ago. It's a really amazing organization that helps people who English is not their first language, and there's great volunteer opportunities, and it's a wonderful program. So they will be on March 7th.
Wonderful guest.
It's March 17th. We have on one of our favorite organizations, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Nassau County, because we certainly we always were writing down a lot of golden nuggets during their segments. And this one is going to be on deciphering food claims, nutrition labels versus food package claims. Which I think is so important.
I like that. Yeah.
I mean, because it's speaking of complicated, that's certainly saying, you walk and listen, I've always been a person who loves a good label or packaging, an eye-catching product. And it's easy to say, oh my God, look, this says heart health. This says, low calorie, and it's all these buzzwords.
No sugar added. Right.
And like, what does that even mean? And it's really, it's a difficult thing. So
was it no sugar added after processing? Was it no sugar ever added?
Is there some bizarre sugar substitute? Like there's crazy words.
No white sugar added? It's
So I'm excited for that segment, because I think that anyone of any age can certainly benefit from that topic. And then on March 24th, we have on Penny Stern, who is a doctor and the chief preventative and lifestyle medicine at Northwell Health Katz Institute for Women's Health, is going to be on doing Health and Healing for Life, an introduction to integrative and lifestyle medicine.
Oh, I love it.
Beck, I know. I
can't wait for that one.
I knew you'd be into that. I timed that around your birthday.
Okay.
Because I knew that would be, quite the passionate topic for you. And then March 31st, we have on Greg Balbara, who is a friend of the show, who works for Right at Home Nassau, Suffolk. He is going to do Aging Alone and Maintaining Your Quality of Life. So we have quite a variety.
I like that.
Right? Quite the mix of topics, which I'm really excited about. I think there's such great shows to.
And then your birthday, which is your birthday show. We got to figure that out.
We haven't I haven't jumped into April yet.
Christina, what are we going to do for our birthdays? I mean, we've.
I know we're just, but listen, we're going to learn. We're going to learn about integrative medicine, and hopefully, just keep on living a healthy, solid life, right?
How are we gonna top what we've done the last few years?
Right. We'll have to just replay it. We'll replay it in the show. But as I had mentioned earlier, February is Heart Health Month. And I think it's really an important time to kind of reflect with, and we hope you do it year round. But I think February is a great time to kind of just put yourself in check, right? And putting together our February e-newsletter that's sent out. And just a sidebar to that, if you are interested in receiving our email newsletter, whether you're a senior or just someone in the community, because there's obviously Project Independence events, but there's also town events in it as well. So you can call 311 or 516-869-6311, and I'll have you added to the list, because that comes out once a month and it's jam-packed with great information. Mm-hmm. And I had an article in there because obviously we talk a lot about stress on this show. And this article was on the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. It was about stress less for a healthier heart. We always hear things about stress and de-stress and don't stress, but as I get older, I realize the impacts that stress really has on your body. It's not just, oh, I'm stressed out. It's really actually affecting, all kinds of different, realms. So this was how it affects your heart. Stress happens. You can't always prevent or avoid it, but you can change how you respond to it. So there was this great article with some wonderful tips. And it was just, the first one was just knowing how stress affects your body. It's important to, see, whether it makes your stomach hurt or, it gives you a headache. I think everyone, it kind of manifests, or it could be all of the above. If you're my mom, it's all of the above. And which I really liked is one of the tips is turn on your relaxation response. So did you know your body also has a relaxation response? Your breathing slows and blood pressure and heart rate decrease. The good news is you are able to actually trigger this response. Ways to do so often combine breathing deeply and focusing your attention on pleasing thoughts and images. Here are a few relaxation response techniques to try. You can do these at home. You can go to a class. You can call Rebecca.
Yeah.
and you can certainly walk. But one of the tips, which we've brought all these up, which I like when our finger is really on the pulse back, when I read these articles, I say, oh my God, we talk about this all the time. It's progressive muscle relaxation. This approach calls for tightening individual muscles in your body and then releasing the tension. Start by tensing and relaxing your toes. I hope everyone who's listening is following along. Then your calves and on up to your face. Do one muscle group at a time. So, I like these things, right? This is something you can clearly do sitting in your living room, in your kitchen, even sitting at your desk, right? So that's something that I think it's good. I will always do my personal favorite. Is when Rebecca gave us the 3 deep breath kind of rule. And I do it all the time. That's something we talked about on the show. And I think it's a great little quick reminder, every hour just to take a little break and certainly breathe. And I'm always preaching that to everyone.
And that keeps you in the present too. It just grounds you. Take the time for yourself. And sometimes when you do that enough, Kristina, you actually start to take time for yourself.
Absolutely.
But with that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with Kristina and I with Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio, Talk of the Town on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We're in our Talk of the Town segment. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu and Dan Cox. And of course, we were talking about Rebecca's favorite topic, and I think Kristina too, and all about breathing and taking time for yourself. And I just wanted to say that I'm going to a fabulous yoga class tonight at my home studio, Medwell Spa, and that's their yoga studio right now is in Wantagh, and it's a moonlight yoga, and focusing on the rhythmic life of the cosmos, bringing your energies into harmony.
Just that title just made me feel kind of relaxed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I kind of pulled that together myself, but I mean that's
really like it.
That's the vibe, and it's a wonderful studio, and they do really kind of lovely classes like this, and you can call, and I think you get a good deal. Medwell Spa, you know they're on the internet, but I'll be there tonight. The only way I told Lori, who's the owner and my dear friend, I'm not going to go is if it's freezing. I mean, it's that's just right. if I go to my car and my ears are frozen, that's rough. I'll pass on that.
That is certainly rough. But we were talking before the break, which ties into Rebecca's yoga, because meditation is obviously another something that will, help your stress level. We have our Project Independence exercise classes, which unfortunately, Becca, I believe are all filled up right now. Am I correct?
So there is, my class is full, unfortunately, at Clinton Martin Park on Mondays, but there are some other classes open. Okay. I think we still have a little room for chair yoga at Roslyn. Okay, cool. There's also a yoga class with a wonderful, she's not brand new, but she's been teaching at the Port Washington Activity Center, and now is going to be at Camera Park in Albertson, and she still has some availability, both her general fitness class and her yoga class. So when we when we have people sign up for the classes, we ask them not to book the same back-to-back classes. And what that means is, like the Zumba on Wednesdays, we have Zumba at 9:30 and then 10:30. Like you can't take those two classes back to back. But something like Nicole's class, they're different classes, so it's it's fine to do that.
Cool. All right.
So
and
there
still
are
on North Hempstead TV though, right? Listen, as Beck had mentioned, it's cold outside. So it's certainly nice to kind of do these indoor, exercise relaxation things. So you can tune in to North Hempstead TV to catch these fabulous exercise classes as well. Or you can go to YouTube, right? The town's YouTube has it all listed. There's an endless amount of classes. So you could do that as well, which I certainly encourage people to.
One class I would like to plug is we have a Zumba Gold class that's starting at the Yes We Can Community Center. I believe it's going to be Thursdays at 11:30, and it's with a new instructor. She's wonderful. Her name's Anna, and she speaks Spanish and Portuguese, English, of course, and she's happy to, she can come in and out of any language. So if there are any Spanish-speaking people listening, or you just want to go, she's, going to be guiding this class. And I think it's March 2nd is the
I have
first
them somewhere in this mess of papers.
That's the first class. So we're really excited to have her. She's just a lovely person, and I'm just really happy and excited
encourage people
to start her.
Check it out. And, you could also do like just a little meditation. I love, and as everyone, I say it on the show all the time, I love a good, quick, time out you can give yourself. And, some tips for meditating is being in a quiet location with as few distractions as possible, being physically comfortable, either sitting, lying, or walking. I'm a big fan of the walking, meditation pieces. Focusing your attention on a specific word or a set of words, an object, or just on your breathing alone, having an open attitude and letting distractions, including thoughts, come and go without judgment. And I think it's something you need to certainly work on. It's something I struggle with, right? To just tune out and just be, present in it. But it's something I try myself to work on as well. And I think you should try, right? As I said, that's what you could do this weekend. There's everyone's homework assignment. It's freezing cold. Stay in your house, try these little techniques, because also there's guided imagery. This involves a series of steps that include relaxing and visualizing the details of a calm, peaceful setting, such as a garden or, the sunshine, if you're me, the beach. I can go on and really just teleport myself there, because it's whatever your happy place is, right? And of course, we mentioned before the importance of deep breathing and taking in slow, deep breaths and letting your stomach or chest expand and exhale slowly, and just repeat it, as needed. And I always think too, when we had someone on, and it might have been when we did laughter yoga, but it's come up a lot, that it's so important. You can do different things with your body to kind of trick your brain into feeling, a certain way. I always think about, and I'm always telling people, listen, if you just laugh or smile, you can make your body, like your brain, think that, all right, things aren't so bad, right? So I think it's important to do these little things. And this is what I love too, is to find your way of healthy relaxing.
Well, the one thing I want to point out too was, I love what you're saying, is when you do your little breathing and you take that nice, full, slow, long breath in, think about something really positive. Like something joyful. It could be anything, a picture, you're going on to the beach, the springs come, whatever it is. And if nothing comes to mind, Kristina, you're absolutely right. Put a smile on your face. Right. And then when you exhale slow, you're exhaling to let go. Try not to hold on to things. And that goes most, for things you're thinking about, but also tightness in the body. So you take that long exhale and just soften. So with every breath that you take in, there's this nice purpose. Absolutely. And that's to think about, and that brings a positive energy into your body. Why not? I mean,
but that's, and that's a great point, Beck. And that's why I'm such a proponent of all these things, right? It's little things you can do. It's not really impacting your day. It's not, bringing you harm, so I think, to implement these little things in your life that, could help, and, listen, I'm a firm believer and they do help. But I do think that It's important. And this I love because if you're short on time, make a list of 3-minute activities you love. And some suggestions were listening to a favorite song during your lunch break, stretching after a warm shower, catching a few minutes of the sunrise or the sunset. It's really, and like whatever it is for you, I think is just important to, it's really all just about taking time, for yourself and being present and finding joy. Because I think we all can just get sucked up into the hustle and bustle and madness of the world. So it's just, and look, and it's good for your heart, right? At the end of the day, you're de-stressing, you're helping out your heart, and a host of other things in your life. So I think these little tidbits, and as I said, that was in our February newsletter. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you can get all kinds of great little articles and tips like that as well.
I'm glad you mentioned it's February, because today is February 3rd, 2023, which is the day of that Moonlight Yoga class. So if you're considering going and you're watching the show on YouTube or North Hempstead Television, and it's, March, it's not tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Good tip there, Beck. I want to remind people that our advisory committee meeting is meeting next week, February 8th at Clinton G. Martin Park at 10 a.m. It's also virtual if you are interested in the virtual option still. But we're excited to be back. So that come and join us. Please register, call 311 or 516-869-6311. To register for that. It's a great place. And if you
come, bring a friend too.
Absolutely.
Learn about what we're going on, because we need to hear from you to know what things are going on. That's where we get our ideas.
Absolutely.
That's
and
part
the
of
programs,
the vision.
It's such a great place because we have our staff is there. A lot of times our fabulous town board members will try and join us. We have our social workers and our nurses, and everyone just is willing to share ideas and listen. And listen, if you don't want to share any ideas, you could just sit there quiet too and just kind of listen to what's going on in the town. But
it's really, still hybrid, right? So
still hybrid. And I think that it's just a great place. That's to really say, I think it would be great to have a fall prevention class somewhere. Our social workers and nurses and I'll have it next week because I've received so many different program that they're doing, and I'm making flyers and the promotional material for that. But it's really exciting. There's a lot of, of our favorite programs that are continuing, but there's a lot of new ones that are coming up as well, that from just conversations. And listen, we always say our seniors and our advisory members are the boots on the ground, members. They live in the community and know what's needed. So I definitely think you could come and listen. You don't have to come every time. You can come and go as you please. But definitely join us because it's certainly informational. On February 10th, Friday, February 10th, is the Lunar New Year of the Rabbit celebration. That's going to be at Mary J. Davies Green, right across from Town Hall. It starts at 4:30, and the festivities start at 4:30. The program starts at 5 p.m. There's cultural performance, arts and crafts, photo opportunities. I believe that if the weather isn't great, they'll move it inside.
Right, and that's a week from today, right?
Right.
Okay.
A week from today, if you were listening to the show live.
Right.
And also what I think is so lovely, we're partnering with different school districts to make these beautiful lanterns. And if you're a senior and interested in making a lantern to be displayed too, you're able to do that. I saw this woman dropped off a bunch, and there's some stiff competition in these lanterns. They were quite professional and beautiful. So it's a fun little, if you're crafty, call 311. They'll send you the material to watch it online about how to do it. And it's just a great little thing. So.
Hey, shout out to our community services department too for
absolutely so many
pulling these events off and
the events. There's so many different things going on, and it's nice because I feel like we're in February now. That means March is coming and April, and we'll be in spring, and we just got to get through this winter. But it's always nice to think of these wonderful outdoor events that the community service team provides that will be coming soon. So
it's coming. Spring's coming.
Also, which is one of my favorite little things that go on. This is the 14th annual Valentine's Day recommitment ceremony. It's provided through the clerk's office. It's going to be Tuesday, February 14th, actually on Valentine's Day. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's $18 per person. It's at the Clubhouse at Harbor Links, which is over in Port Washington. And it's just a really nice thing, if you and your loved one want to do a little recommitment ceremony. It's a nice thing. So call 311, because you have to register. space is limited for that. So definitely check that out. Speaking of some new programs that are coming up, we have a Watch Your Step fall prevention program that's coming, and that is going to kick off April 12th. It's a 5-session program provided by our Northwell Health nurses. And it's all about just kind of decreasing your risk of falling, simple exercise to increase your strength, the importance of medications on your bone health, community and home safety. You know, they have different speakers involved. It's at Michael J. Tully Park, 1 to 3 p.m. But definitely register if you're interested, because as I said, we're already getting reservations for it and space is limited. So definitely check that out. And we have also speaking of heart health, our St. Francis cardiac screening van is kicking off April 13th at the North Hempstead Yes We Can Community Center. What I love about this is you do not need to make an appointment, and you can join, and it's going to be at a whole bunch of different locations throughout North Hempstead. So please call to get information on that, because they're going to be throughout the town, all in the spring months. So check that out. Beck, what I also loved is, speaking of heart health, you know, it's all these different things were coming in all these articles. I said, oh, this is so timely because we're talking about it. It was make heart health part of your self-care routine. And this I really liked because each day it gave you like a little theme of your day. I love a theme. I think anyone that listens to this show knows at this point, I truly love a theme.
Yes.
So Self-Care Sunday is finding a moment of serenity every Sunday. Spend some quality time on yourself. Mindful Monday, be mindful about be mindful about your health and monitor your blood pressure or your blood sugar if needed. Keep an eye on your weight and make sure it stays within, you know, things to keep you healthy. Tasty Tuesday. Choose how you want to approach eating healthier. Start small by pepping up your meals with a fresh herb or a spice as a salt substitute. Get adventurous and prepare a simple new heart healthy recipe. There's so many out there now, and they're quite tasty as well. A lot of fruits and vegetables, fish, poultry, lean meats, beans, nuts, whole grains, low-fat dairy products. I mean, the list goes on and on, but that's Tasty Tuesday, which I like. Wellness Wednesday. Don't waffle on your wellness. Move more. Eat a fruit or veg. I like that.
Yeah.
Move more. Eat a fruit or vegetable you've never tried. Make a plan to either quit smoking or vaping or learn the signs of a heart attack or stroke. It's really important to be aware of those things, you know, especially as you age. There's little things, and that's what the doctor that we'll have on, you know, in 2 weeks is really going to dive into. Treat yourself Thursday. Treats can be healthy. Try making dessert with fresh fruit or yogurt, you know, and then just stretch your imagination beyond food. It says host a family dance party. Take a few minutes to sit still and meditate. Go for a walk. Watch a funny show. Laughter is healthy. So Beck, we're doing good.
Yeah.
So we can check that off our list. We jumped the gun. You know, that was our Treat Yourself Thursday. Whatever you do, just find some time to spend on yourself. And today is Follow Friday. Follow inspiring people and pages on social media. Text a friend, you know, that is supportive of you. It's really important to have a support system and people around you that support. If you look at my social media, I mean, I follow quite the endless inspirational quote pages. And those are my favorite things to look at, because for me, it's a quick little reminder to be there, and I'll send them out to, you know, my loved ones out there too. But it's really important to kind of have a supportive group around you in any way you see fit. It could be your friend, it could be your family, it could be, you know, just a positive stranger you're listening to on TV, you know. Then this I like is Selfie Saturday. Inspire others.
Yeah. That's your day.
Inspire others to take care of their own hearts. Talk about your self-care routine with loved ones, or share a selfie on your social media platforms. Having social support and personal networks can make it easier to get healthier. So these were all just like fun little things. And I think, you know, you have these, you can remind yourself. And if you want this printed out, you can give me a call and I'll certainly send it to you. Because I'm going to try and, you know, just do these things.
I would like one. Please send
okay,
it.
there you go. We have our first customer. I will certainly send that over to you, Beck. But just fun little things that you should certainly do all the time, and just take some time for yourself, right? Last week's show, Beck, you weren't with us in during Talk of the Town. It was just me and Otto brought up that there's so many wonderful programs through the SWAMA department in North Hempstead, whether it's the STOP program, the e-waste program, Shed the Meds. There's a lot of different things. A lot of them have different rules and they're on different days and all had different flyers. So I reached out to communications and they sent me just one page, which was Otto's recommendation, to just have all the things listed. This way you can kind of know what's coming up. So February 25th is e-waste only drop-off. That's going to be at the 802 West Shore Road, Port Washington. So you're able to drop off all of your e-waste on that date. And coming up on March 18th is the STOP program. That's going to be at North Hempstead Beach Park. That's one of our favorite programs because it is a perfect time to get rid of all the things that you have been storing through the winter, right? It's a great time to just clear out, start fresh, spring fresh.
All right, well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look a little bit more into what's going on in the town of North Hempstead. You're listening to Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town. We will be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu and Dan Cox. We are in our final segment of the show, Talk of the Town, and just learning about everything that's going on in the town of North Hempstead with Project Independence. It's endless, Kristina. I mean, we could just... I don't know that an hour is enough to talk about all the wonderful things going on in the town. Yeah.
I had mentioned earlier that we have a lot of programs that are hot off the press. Our Life of Mine Sharing and Creating New Members Journaling Group is starting again on March 6th. That's over at the Westbury Library. It's at 11:30 to 12:30. Really wonderful program. So I think I really encourage people to do it. We always talk about journaling and the benefits, and really the gift it is not only for you but for your family too. So I think it's so important to get those things out, and it's just therapeutic. So that is coming back due to popular demand, which I think is really, really wonderful.
It's really such a gift, and I know I talked about this a couple of months ago, but my mother recently found a diary that she wrote in when she went on a trip across country and back with her best friend and the parents who drove. And, it was all about, and she had been dating my father, and it was like when they would, how, she got to talk to him because he knew where she'd be. So the journaling is like, it's like a gift. I mean, I was like so taken back, It is. So,
I wish that I stuck with it more, like over the years, there would be the different phases of my life, especially my super younger life where, I wanted to just, just be deep and just, write all my trouble. So it's funny to look back on now as an adult, the things that really, and it also shows you, like, as hilarious as it is, because I'll sit down with my friends and just, like, read it because it's hilarious.
Yes, it's wonderful.
But it also just shows you that in the moment of things, it can feel so heavy and you're so devastated and you're never going to get over it,
right,
whatever.
Right.
And it really just shows that it's fleeting, like something at the time that seems so like you'll just never get like out of it. You do.
Now I know why you love that Pam Anderson documentary.
100%.
So Kristina and I watch a lot of the same shows, and she'll recommend shows for me to watch and vice versa. And I just started the Pam Anderson documentary. And I mean, she's a real person. She's a mother, she's a daughter, a sister. She came up and, had a career and was in love and, lost her first love. And she wrote when she was a kid, from the time she was very young. And she had a lot of really horrible things in her life, but yet she wrote, and this documentary is a lot about her going back to those pages and pages. And, we're all human, and she really, she had some things going on. So,
It is.
Very
And
interesting.
I think, yeah, it's just, and I love that about it because, it really does show you that, you can just be something that happened yesterday that, you put so much stress and worry on, is in the past. In a few days, it could just be, nothing, so, and I always try to tell myself that, listen, I'm very good at saying it out loud, and hopefully it's like a smile and it tricks my brain into actually doing these things. But I think it is something that, you constantly have to remember, like, what you are feeling with now, like, is not set in stone forever, and I just think that's an important message to get out there. So
Yeah.
I encourage people to join the class and journal. And even if you just want to do it privately in your own home, I've given it as gifts. I actually gave Otto one once. It's like, Amazon has very inexpensive books that you're able to, and it's like a guided book, because I know a lot of people don't know where to kind of begin.
Right.
And it will ask you questions. There's this amazing, I always forget the name, but clearly social media is tracking things that I'm into. Because it's a program, and a lot of people during Christmas were giving it to family members because each day, your loved one is prompted with a question, they answer the question, and then after a year or whatever it is, it all gets put into a book, and then that's the gift, because now you have this book of all these little questions you answered each day, which I think is so great. And I'm definitely probably going to buy that for someone, but I just think it's great. So anyway. Also, we have coming up on March 8th at Magnolia Gardens from 1 to 2 p.m. Magnolia Gardens is in Westbury, by the way. It's Train Your Brain, Alzheimer's and Dementia Awareness. It's learning the warning signs, the types of Alzheimer's disease and dementia, different services available. And there's also going to be some fun little brain games part of the program, too. And that's another thing I always encourage people. When you're at home, do these little brain games, right? It's so important, especially if you were alone. And I know I bring it back to my grandpa often, but, we were very involved with him. And, he was alone for, most of the day. My mom and I worked, and different family members, everyone worked. And, he had these aides, luckily, towards the end of his life that were wonderful. But, it's so important to stimulate your brain, So I would always try and come up with some kind of little project or something for him to do because, I remember him saying, like, you would spend all day long just, like, not talking to anyone. So before I get emotional, it's definitely something you should do.
Yeah.
Also, which we haven't had because of COVID, which is very exciting that it's coming back, is your brown bag check on medications. This is going to be with our fabulous partnership with Daniel Ezzo over at St. John's University. And I love, this was one of my favorite programs ever when we first started PI, because you literally take all of your medicines, whether it's prescription, non-prescription, you throw it in a brown bag, and you come and you have an individual one-on-one appointment with a pharmacist.
Should they bring vitamins too? If they take
absolutely,
vitamins?
Yeah. I think, and because it says literally put all of your things, because I think and that's a great point, Beck, and that's something that when we have the integrative medicine doctor on, we'll talk about too, because we're in a time where there's so many different kinds of supplements and vitamins, and it's important, it might seem harmless a lot of times, but there's certain things you might not work for your body that might interact with something else you're taking.
Right. And the doctors now recommend vitamin. I mean, I know I was low in vitamin D, so I have to take vitamin D. Even though it's a vitamin, it has made a change. Now my vitamin
that's my
D
mom, has to take folic acid, and she takes, biotin, and she's, so these are all, supplements, but that have become part of her, medicine kind of regimen. So I think it's really great. You can go, there's gonna be 2 different dates: Wednesday, March 22nd at the Manhasset Public Library. And it's from 1 to 3, but you have to call and make an appointment because you're going to have a set appointment through that block. And then Friday, April 28th, between 12:30 and 2:30, it will be at North Hempstead Yes We Can Community Center, these programs. So I really encourage people to sign up. It's just so important too.
It's so good. Yeah.
I remember, when John was with us on the show, and he would say, he was struggling with his health, and he would be prescribed like every other week some kind of new medicine.
Right.
And he said it was just like, and you never knew, and luckily he was seeing a doctor who would work on it. But so many people stay on a medicine for, a long time, or a supplement, or whatever it might be, that you don't necessarily, isn't beneficial for you anymore. So it's important to, as with everything, right? Just take a check as to where you're at, what you're doing. And I think this is great too, because it kind of prepares you for when your Medicare open enrollment process comes and you're trying to figure out the, prescription plan best for you. So,
Right. And another thing too is it's always good to stay with the same pharmacy for all the different doctors. I mean, I know most people do, but there may be
but it's hard. There's
right.
a lot of different things that, that people could switch it. But that's a great point, Beck, because, hopefully in the pharmacy, when you're dealing with a pharmacist, as Beck said, all the time that they kind of are clued into, certain things that, you were on or whatnot, and could, if they see a change, could be involved. So,
right. Like, I mean, there was one time I had to take something could potentially cause a reaction if I was doing something else. That I can't remember what it was, if I was taking something and they alerted me to it when I went to pick it up, and they just said, do you want us to call your doctor? I was like, yeah. And they called the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, no, don't give her that. It was like, oh, thanks, But, but that's another
so
thing. That was an urgent care I went to. So, especially if you're going to an urgent care, you weren't able to get to your doctor, the urgent care calls at least the pharmacy has records on you, when the urgent care doesn't. So like, he didn't know if I was taking, like a cholesterol medicine that I shouldn't take something else with. So, that's.
No, I think it's like something, my mom is on, different blood pressure medicines, and she, the other day, was feeling sinusy, and I was like, Mom, I got to get, and she was like, she has to stay away from decongestants. She can't just, everyone would be like, oh, I'm feeling stuffed up, let me take a decongestant. But because she's on blood pressure and has issues with her blood pressure, you can't do that. So I think it's so important to take a check on that. And just because something's over the counter doesn't necessarily mean that it has no side effects to what else you're doing. So I think it's a great program. I encourage everyone to sign up for it. They're a great partner to us, St. John's University, with that. So. Also, our Friday programs at the Yes We Can Community Center will be coming back on March 3rd. We have a lineup that's really exciting. We have a Matter of Balance class that's provided by NYU Langone Health. Beck, a little bit. So it's going to be educational and fall prevention?
Yeah, so it's the same timing that NYU Langone has been doing their kind of balance program for Project Independence at the Yes We Can Community Center. But they have a new program, and we thought we would give it a shot with the same kind of concept. It's a matter of balance, and they do some Tai Chi, some other kinds of exercise, and they also give out material. It usually is like a 6 or an 8-week kind of program, but we're going to continue it for the whole kind of semester, if you will, for our, it'll coincide with the Project Independence Fitness program. But that doesn't count as a fitness class. We just put it on the flyer so a lot more people become aware of it.
Absolutely.
So and there's still plenty of room. I think it's going to be really good, really informative.
Cool. And after that, there's going to be the What in the World is Going On, which is a current and world events group. Follows that at 11:30. And then we're going to have, which is like a similar take to a program we offer at the Roslyn Community Center, is Golden Hearts Bingo and blood pressure screenings. So it's you play a little bingo, you get your blood pressure checked, you meet with the social worker and nurse. It's really a great program. And I have to say the Roslyn Community Center one really has taken off and people love it and look forward to it. So on some days, they will be providing this too. It's not the same exact schedule. So please call 311. We'll give you all the dates for everything and register you for whatever the program is you're interested in.
And one thing I want to throw in is that time slot used to be mindful coloring with Gia. And what was happening where people were coming in and picking up their booklets to color and taking them home. So
and I think it's still going to be offered, right?
We're still going to continue that. If you have any questions, call 311 and you could speak with Gia about the mindful coloring. She could send it to you. You could pick it up. And we'll continue that because I know that it's very enjoyable. It's very relaxing.
And it's very nice, because I've bought my mom, like, over the years, so many mindful coloring books and stuff, and she just loves to do it, and drink her tea, in the house. So it is really nice to actually have in your, your home space, just when you have some downtime to do. And they're so intricate and they're really interesting. I mean, there's so many now. I remember when they first came out, there was just more basic ones, but now there's like a mindfulness coloring thing for everything, which is really, really cool. And I have on display, which I always do, which is a gift from my dear friend Dan, is these mindfulness cards that I personally love because they have different categories. It's so organized, and that's really why I love it even more. It's rest and balance, curiosity and joy, insight and awareness, kindness cards. So every day I just kind of pick one up, and it's a little and look, you have the gift from me.
That's right. So today on February 3rd is calm is a superpower.
And I see, once again, the calendar might have been written for our show.
I think so.
That's clearly what we've been talking about, in regards to heart health and kind of de-stressing and calming yourself. So, but also I know we are running out of time. I want to just go over some other existing programs that are going on in Project Independence. We have our bridge class is still meeting on Wednesdays over at North Hempstead Community Center from 12 to 2 p.m. So if you're interested in that, you do not need to be a professional by any means, and you can join that group. As I mentioned before, the Golden Hearts Blood Pressure and Bingo is on Thursdays at the Roslyn Community Center at 12 to 1 p.m. Then we have our men's group is over at the Hillside Library in New Hyde Park. That meets on Fridays at 10:30 a.m. So you could check that out. Then, speaking of heart health, we have a Cornell Cooperative Extension program. Understanding Sodium for Heart Health is going to be on Friday, February 10th. It's really going to show you the importance and the impact, I should say, of sodium on your heart. Otto and I were talking about this last week. We both have people in our families that before they even eat something, put salt on it. So I'm like, you don't even know if it needs salt, but it's just like I see it all the time, happen, and it really can have serious impacts for multiple reasons. So check that out with our fabulous partners over at Cornell Cooperative. And I just want to remind people also that we have a Black History Month celebration on Wednesday, February 15th. It's going to be at the Westbury Middle School at 6 p.m., which is really nice. So there's a lot of amazing programs going on in North Hempstead. You certainly have no downtime, really, at the end of the day is what it is. Beck, I also know that we finally have a new transportation brochure.
Yes.
There's been some changes. So if you could just quickly highlight just a couple of little changes for 2023 for transportation.
Okay, so everything is pretty much the same. We all call in the same way. We're doing the same pricing structure right now. We have 2 taxi companies now. We used to have 3. It's Deluxe and All Island, and they've been partnered with us for years. And so far, it's going really smooth, I must say. But one thing I just want to say. This weekend is going to be frigid. Yep. You do not have to go out, and you should not. And that even goes for Project Independence programs. I mean, we are we are likely to cancel if the weather is really bad. And so just don't go out if it's too cold. I mean, it's not worth it. One day, stay in could save a lot of.
There's so many great things to do around the house. So many little activities you can do. So many things you can watch.
Many things you can watch. And I mean, Kristina and I may do a little show on all the, the movies.
You can call 311, ask us for our recommendations.
We will be happy to.
We have multiple genres.
As always, you call 311, and we are in contract with these 2 wonderful taxi companies for 5 years, so there'll be no changes in terms of the taxi companies, and there might be little increases down the road, but we just follow what's happening around, and hopefully not. But right now, it's going smooth. And just call 311 if you have any questions. We have a mobility manager. Be happy to speak with you, Shari, who's been on the show a bunch of times too.
No, and Beck, you mentioned before, and I want to remind people that God willing, we're getting through winter without crazy snowstorms. I'm really crossing my fingers to hope that we just can ride it out. But in the event that there is inclement weather, it really is. I always tell people, call 311. Before you take the trip to, obviously we will try and reach out to everyone, but sometimes people don't answer the phone, whatever it might be. Programs get canceled. So I think it's always good to just do a quick check and say, hey, is blah, blah, blah still meeting today? and you'll be able
Right.
to save you a trip, because we certainly want everyone's safety is the most important thing.
The likelihood is if the weather forecasts are bad, we are canceling.
Yeah.
Whether it's rain, wind, cold, just assume. So always call 311 before you come out.
That's it. That's the magic number, right?
That's
311.
869-6311 with a 516.
Oh, I like that. There you go. I like you to spit that very good, Beck. I really enjoyed that. Once again, if you need a vial of life, we have that. I've been getting so many calls about that, so please call 311 and I'll send you out a packet.
Okay, that's it? Are you sure, Dan? Are you positive? So that's it. You were listening to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu, our wonderful radio show producer and Director of Senior Citizen Affairs for the Town of North Hempstead's Project Independence, of course, Dan Cox. And we miss you, Otto, but we'll have Otto back on in 2 weeks. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Stay in and stay warm.